Well, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to it is Wednesday. I think it's September the 5th, Thursday. Today's Thursday, actually, and it's September the 15th. That is correct. September the 15th. Welcome to Thursday. Um, y'all, what a good morning, Anna Davis. Good morning. Good morning. We're coming to you live again from Boston, Massachusetts. The Haba at Boston. I'm repping the Black Rose Irish pub that we went to yesterday, so I'm repping the Black Rose. If they want to throw me a little something for my trouble, I'll take it. So if y'all want to, we'll just hashtag the Black Rose in this deal. Yeah, we're trying to. Today's the first day of our sessions with everybody downstairs, and we're really super excited about that and how this is all going to turn out. But y'all, we're still messing with these lighting and the. I hope it looks like it's supposed to look. But y'all, good morning. And as I get situated here, and my co-host, I almost said it, but I'm not gonna say it.
Your co-host will be joining you.
She'll be joining me momentarily. She's still in the green room. We're trying to get her out of the green room and get her to come on. Good morning, Carrie Leland. How are you? She's stuck by the pastry tray. I can't get her away from the pastry tray. So good morning and welcome. I don't know, man, this is super blurry, y'all. I don't know if it's not the camera. I don't know. Is it super blurry on y'all's end? Because I'm trying to watch this from my iPad, and it looks like it's super blurry. Good morning, Michelle T. Jenny Martin. Alex Martin, top of the morning to you, my dear. And top of the morning from Boston, the home of the Black Rose, as my wife is checking with the camera. Hey, Heather B., good morning. What are you doing there, homie?
I'm just trying to make sure.
Go back in the green room.
I'm trying to make it better.
It is super blurry, isn't it?
It's because I told you.
Teal, it's not the light; it's the background. It's trying to figure out what it's going to focus on.
That's what you scared. Close the curtains. Pull the curtains behind you.
Hang on, boys and girls. We're gonna start traveling with a green screen.
You'll fix that when it's like not right.
What?
It's stuff. It's hanging.
Y'all, this is our first one. Please bear with us. See if this is better. Teal said, to be fair, she didn't have her glasses. I think that's going to work better. I think that looks like it maybe. Teal said, she said it doesn't matter. It looks all the same to me. I can't see anyway. I don't have my glasses. I'm just wondering, man. I can't see anything. This may have been a bad idea. We do not have the ESPN studio set up here, so we're doing this with a $15 Ring camera for a ring light from Walmart and an iPhone. So let's rock, man. Let me get my coffee. Let's do this thing. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna start here. Can I? I know. We talk about from time to time. I know. We talk a lot. I'm not jumping into it. Yeah, hand me your little thing right there. Yeah. I know y'all hear us talk. Look at her. Bam.
It's because you got it too dark. That's
What
why.
in the heck are you talking about?
It's too dark.
The light's as bright as it'll get.
Okay.
Hang
Yeah,
on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm so sorry, y'all. I apologize. I thought maybe he would have his crap together by now.
I'm trying.
I gave him plenty of time. I was hanging out at the pastry dish. I really wasn't hanging out by the pastry, but a pastry sure sounds good right about now.
Lord, that's
Man, that sounds good. That would be so good.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Would you look at that? Try to tell you.
Anna
There you
said, Anna said, just go with it. We're going with it,
Just
Anna.
go with it. We're going with it, Anna. All right.
So, I know Cece's ready and whatnot.
Look at that.
Is that Maggie?
It has to be.
It is
I don't think
Mag.
anybody
Nobody else calls you
calls me
Cece. Anybody Halson. So we tell, and this is where I'm going to start because it's super important that y'all hear this and actually see this. We talk about this all the time. We tell y'all, and we've said this before, that the organization goes at the speed of the leadership, right?
Yep.
And that as fast as we go, or as fast as you go, that's we are. Your speed is approximate result of our speed.
Correct.
What you guys do is approximate result of what we do. And we talk all the time about exit. We talk all the time about what this company is, and about from Steve Morris to Tammy Bunnell to Erica Gillio to our executive leadership team, Craig Witt, Lori Muller, all these people that a lot of y'all have met. Some of you haven't met, and if you haven't met them yet, you're really missing out. You probably need to make it a point to get to a convention or get to something where you can meet somebody.
If you can get a ticket.
If you get a ticket. So we come to this event, right? We were invited. We come to this mastermind, and don't really know what to expect. I mean, we have a little bit of an idea, but really don't know what to expect. And so yesterday we get funny story. So we end up in an Irish pub in Boston.
Shocker,
y'all.
It's about
y'all.
Your browser has lost connection.
Hang on, y'all. So y'all hang with us, because today is a day the gremlins are trying to come out.
Just take it with this camera.
So the duck boats, those amphibious boats, they drive around through Boston. So we did a big tour of Boston, and then the duck boats drive into the water, and the boat then it turns into a boat, and you ride around in the river, St. Charles River, and a lot of fun.
The dirty water.
But not so dirty water. Apparently, it's not that dirty.
I wouldn't drink it.
I probably wouldn't drink it. So we end up at this Irish pub, right? And I saw it when we drove by through the tour. I was like, oh man, that looks really, really cool.
Oh yeah, you saw
the
that. Other side.
The Black Rose.
Yeah.
So we go back to the Black Rose to eat. Y'all, as luck would have it, as our luck would have it, is because this is what happens to us.
So funny story. So a broker, we always talk about the collaborative relationships and networking that comes as a result of being at these types of events.
Right.
Just being in the room with people who are like-minded. And this whole event is a collection of brokers company who are just like-minded. And with us who are growth focused, who are, for those of you, again, we talk about the mentor program a lot, and that we're doing now with our company, and our mentors, not just anybody gets to be a mentor.
Right.
I mean, there are requirements, and it's not just about production. It's about a whole picture of what this looks like to be. So for those people who are asked to be a mentor in our company, again, it's not a requirement that they do it. It is a request that we make, but that request doesn't get made. It's an invitation to help us grow this company. But there are requirements that have to happen, and it's not just production based. It is a whole picture, and that's what this event here is. It's an invitation only. You can't buy your way into it.
Well, she jumped off the deep end.
I'm kind of trying to associate and help you guys understand. We're in a room with like-minded people. We're in a room of our tribe. Okay. And so we go, after we finish the duck tour, we start talking to one of the brokers who just so happens to be an Exit Southeast broker, but we've known him for several years. And there's a mutual just understanding of some situations. And anyway, so he joins us. Okay. but this is probably the first time he's been on an outing of sorts, on an adventure with Christy and Aaron.
Oh my gosh, it is the first time.
It's the first time he's ever experienced it.
That was an easy break in. That was an easy break in.
It was pretty easy, but he did think it was. So as we're sitting here and I'm conversing with our waitress, our server, proceed.
Y'all, she is from Ireland and has a thick Irish accent.
And I asked her, I said, are you from Ireland?
She said, is this serious? Or do
they teach you to talk like this? She says, no, I'm really from Ireland.
It was so bad. And her name was Fiona.
Yes. And her name is Fiona. I said, Fiona, you mean like from Shrek? And she says, yes, except I was born first.
Y'all, we were in this Irish pub. We sit on these benches and they're creaking and squeaking. It's a legit, this is like
our server is Irish and her name is Fiona.
It was absolutely fantastic. It was one of the cool. I mean, it was so cool.
It was really neat.
Yeah. Good morning, Millie. So we stayed there for a while, and then had to wait for 7 days to get on a water taxi to get us back across. So we were late coming back to the event. So by the time we got back here, everybody else has already started dinner. I know we were late. It's a shocker, right?
Well, but
wasn't
it
our
was
fault.
us and several other brokers.
And it wasn't our fault.
The water
by the way.
taxi takes about 5-7 minutes to get across the water. And we were there for the 4:30. Apparently the water taxi at 4:30 left early because
So
we
we
were
missed it.
literally walking down the thing at 4:30 and we didn't see it pulling off. So it had already been there and left before 4:30.
So here's the point of me saying this. So we get back to the dinner. We get back to the event, the dinner thing at 5:00, and we have these bags.
They give us these bags, yeah.
We walk in, and they give us these bags, and they're all individually with our names on them, right? They're all
That was his Aaron.
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 So we get these bags, and inside which is super cool, right? It's super cool. So we didn't even look at them. We brought them to the room, hadn't even looked in the bag.
Because I had to run to the room anyways to take care of a couple of things. And so Lori said, just take the bags upstairs and then
Morning,
we'll have
Lynn.
them down here.
Yeah, so she runs them upstairs. So we didn't get a chance to look at them until late last night. So we went to the ball game again last night.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
So we get back into the room, and I said, I'm going to take a look at what's in the bag. 'Cause I knew there were a couple of books in the bag, but I wanted to see what else was in the bag. Y'all, when we tell you this is one giant family from Steve Morris
Yep.
all the way to the person who's signing right now, wherever they are,
Yep.
to be a part of Exit Realty, it is a family.
Yep.
Y'all, I look in this bag. There are 2 books, okay,
Tam.
from Tammy Bunnell, our CEO and our former CEO and now co-chair of Exit Realty. Not only are there 2 books, and books are great, but they're personalized messages.
Right.
So in both books, she's taken the time to write personalized messages, in addition to a personalized card that she wrote. In
You
addition,
really tore your envelope up.
I did. I went after it. I tried to do it clean. In addition to another card from our CEO with a personal inscription there, a cool little bookmark.
CFO.
She's a COO, isn't she?
She's CFO.
I thought she was COO.
Whatever. I think she's CFO.
Teal ribbon.
I'll tell you.
Some cool cards from Craig Witt.
Super cool.
And we're going to use these in our meetings. This is my favorite.
Oh, she is a COO.
This is
Okay.
my favorite. Lori Muller, who's now she is the CEO of
No,
the
she's
United
not.
States.
She's the U.S. division.
U.S. division. Gosh dang it! I don't know anybody's titles. I'm just glad I'm here. How about that? I'm just glad I'm here. I'm Aaron, and I'm here,
And I'm happy to be here.
and I'm happy to be here. So Lori Muller gives us these little blocks, right? And they're little wooden blocks that are candle holders, but they're leadership. It's all about leadership.
Yep.
And there's an inscription on one side that says, "Before you can lead others, you must learn to lead yourself." And y'all, Christy and I were opening them together, and we're looking in our bags, and we're looking at each other.
Oh gosh, I can read this now. I couldn't read it last night because I guess you can actually read it if you have your glasses on. It's amazing. I'm going to read this.
And so before you read it,
This side's got a whole thing on it.
we're looking at each other and just with tears, just like, oh my gosh, this is why we love this company so much. This is why we love this company so much. So, and the only reason I'm mentioning this to y'all is sometimes it gets lost in translation just how fantastic Exit Realty is.
It does.
It gets lost in translation because we're not the flashiest, we're not the flossiest. We don't have,
well, now speak for yourself. Some of us are flossy. Ain't that right, Millie?
some of y'all are flossy AF.
Some of us are flossy.
But as a general rule, we're much more authentic. We're much more
Who we are.
who we are. We're much more just loving and caring, and our offices are fun and authentic and comfortable and all those things.
I'm going to read this.
Okay.
I'm going to read
And
this.
she's gonna read this.
Because I'm going to read a little bit of it.
She's gonna read
Because
a
I
little
think
bit.
that leads into what we're talking about today. Leadership. This is on the side. There's a whole thing written
An
here.
inscription.
And it says leadership requires the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. The ability to capture the imagination and enthusiasm of people with clearly defined goals. Inspires commitment of a team to accomplish a mission. Shows the way and goes the way. And that shows the way and goes the way.
That's huge.
It is so big because for us as leaders, so the one we were sitting with yesterday, it is so crazy how you view someone else in a certain light.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes this lighting's such a good example of that because
It's awful.
It's a good example of
It being awful.
The light that sometimes you see yourself in is so different than the light that other people see us in.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So yesterday, I think you had gotten up and gone to look at t-shirts or maybe gone to the restroom or something. But he's telling me that because we're talking about what an honor it is to be at this event, to even be invited to be part of this event. And we understand the expectations that come with the leadership. It's too much to those who are given much, or however it says,
much is required.
Much is required. Okay. So, and I've literally had this same conversation this week with our mentors and said, this was an invitation position, but we, as the leaders of Exit Realty Lake Country, want you to understand this was not just a willy-nilly decision. This was for you to be part of this, who we view as the people who are helping us to build what we are doing and helping us to move down the field and grow. There's a lot required of that. Yep. There's a lot required. And this thing right here, you can't, before you can lead others, you must learn to lead yourself, right? We have to learn to lead ourselves. And with leadership comes growing pains. And this morning, Aaron's sitting here and I walk in here and I said, what are you thinking about? He said, I'm just trying to figure out what we're going to talk about this morning. I said, well, what's in your spirit? What's in your spirit? Because you guys do know we ad lib. I don't know if y'all have noticed this or not. We don't work off a script.
We are field players for sure.
We play by feel.
For sure.
So I said, what's in your spirit? He said, just kind of growing pains. And I said, oh my gosh. Because what I had been thinking about in the bathroom as I'm getting dressed and drying my hair was the conversation yesterday, and the conversation that as leaders and as you grow as a person, as a professional, all those aspects that come along with growth, the growing pains are not just, so if you're in a position, right? If you're staying in this position, you've come from a place and you're headed to a place. You're in the middle of your journey. So as you're on your journey of as you change and you grow into and you develop, kids get growing pains. Jagger gets growing pains in his legs, right? And sometimes you think that growing pains come as a result of that growing pains are only the forward motion. It's once you grow through that pain, right? Like once you get through the forward motion growth and the pain and the struggles and the discomfort that comes with that you're okay. But what sometimes we forget about are the growing pains of letting go of that person who you were, that person who you had to grow through to get to where you're at today. And then the person we are today, there's going to be growing pains associated with getting to becoming the next person, becoming that person 6 months from now. And sometimes it's not just pushing through that barrier, pushing through, making that breakthrough to get to the next level.
Right. Sometimes
it's getting comfortable, letting go of things. It's kind of like outgrowing your favorite shirt when you were a kid.
So, and I'm gonna go backwards a little bit because obviously, is it necessary that your body hurts when you go through growing pains? I mean, is that essential that your body has to hurt to go through growing pains? Is it essential that a woman has to hurt so bad to give birth to another life? Is it? I mean, I know those things. I mean, just as easily as it is painful, it could be not painful. It could have been set up and you just grow and you just have a baby and it's all good and everything's wonderful and you just grow and it doesn't hurt and you just don't worry about it. You just get taller. I mean, I don't remember I never heard Cooper yelping or crying as he went from a little bitty puppy to a big puppy. You know, growing pains.
They whimper sometimes. I wonder if that's what they're doing.
But I guess here's the point I mean, maybe, but here's the point I'm trying to make. Those growing pains are put there for a purpose.
That's right.
And they're put there for a reason. And it hurts to grow. It's painful to give birth. it is. Yeah, I don't know if a cat, like they say a caterpillar hurts. I don't know how you measure that. That a
I'll
caterpillar.
just come this way.
Where you
You're good. I'll just get
that a caterpillar may go through pain changing into a butterfly. It hurts to get up and run. It hurts to go to the gym.
Right.
It hurts to set time aside or tell somebody no because you want to work on yourself. It hurts to cut things away as you grow and evolve and get better. It hurts, and sometimes it's not physical pain. And I think that's where you were going, and that was the thing that was on my mind right now, because we are, as a company, we are growing through some things right now. Exit Realty Lake Country, we are growing through some things right now,
and we've been growing through some things for
a while.
Year, probably the past 12 months. It has probably struck the hardest, because sometimes, and this is where I was going with that, and that conversation we had with that broker was discussing some growing pains that he has experienced as well, because again, we're not that brokerage that doesn't connect with our agents.
Mm-hmm.
If an agent joins our company, you're connected with us.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and we talked about this 6-7 months ago, a pretty good bit, which was sometimes when you grow at a different pace than the people are growing that are in your circle at that point in your life, doesn't mean they're not growing. It means that you're growing at a different pace. So if you're running a marathon, and as much as you've trained with a bunch of people for a marathon, in the beginning, everyone kind of starts running at the same speed, right? Everybody's kind of pulling away from the pack. And as soon as somebody starts pulling away from the pack, if you're in a marathon, that's the purpose. Like, everyone knows the purpose is to get to the finish line, right? So when someone starts pulling away from the pack, maybe it's a result of they trained more, they conditioned more, they broke their shoes in properly, and that they're not going slower, because all these different things that can contribute to the pace that one person goes, as opposed and compared to the pace that another person goes, doesn't mean that you don't care about that person. Doesn't mean that they didn't play a critical piece in your growth, and you haven't played a critical piece in their growth. Sometimes you're just going at a different pace, but you can't allow yourself to be held back because someone else grows at a different pace than you do. So sometimes the pain and some of the growth, the challenges are being okay, being in a different pace than they are, and not feeling guilty and allowing yourself to be held back. And maybe it's because that person is allowing someone else to hold them back, and you can't slow your pace down and stop doing what you're supposed to be doing, because there might be people up there that need you.
And and so as you guys, again, as we are on this journey with y'all, right? As we're on this journey doing this thing where we are encouraging you guys, we are imploring you guys, we are trying to get you to clarify your vision, find your purpose, figure out what it is that you're going to give to the world that's going to make that impact. And as we start to cut away, because finding this process is a refinement. It's a refinement.
And finding your purpose can be confusing, because it can be interpreted differently than what we're trying to say. I don't think you find your purpose. I think your purpose finds you.
Your purpose is there.
I think you whittle away all the things that are between you and that purpose. And as you do that, and you're able to peel away those layers, your purpose becomes clearer and clearer each and every day. With every layer that's peeled away, that purpose becomes clearer to you.
And the more dedicated you are to your purpose, the more dedicated you are to the progress, the more dedicated you are to making that happen. And who said this? Somebody said this on another. So somebody said preparation, focus, consistency, right? Which as you become more consistent, as you prepare harder, as you progress faster, as you start to find your legs, right? Because when you start that marathon, you're sucking wind in the first little bit, then you find your groove and you find a pace, and then you go. And that's where the wheat and the chaff get separated. When people start to find their pace, they start to find their rhythm, they start to find their breath, and they kind of get in their groove. That's when you start to see the separation. So as you guys start to find your pace. You start to settle into your journey. You start to settle into where you're going in your preparation. What you're going to find, and this happens, it's happening to us. It happens to every person who does this. We talked about it yesterday. You're going to find your circles are going to change.
Yep.
And you're going to find that your pace, and this is what Christy, I think what you were saying a second ago, your pace will be uncomfortable for some of the people in your circle.
Correct.
And so for those people in your circle, when the pace becomes uncomfortable, they sometimes start to bite. They sometimes start to throw darts. They sometimes start to undermine or to take away your pace, or
they take it as a way. They take it as something against them when it has nothing. And we say that all the time. Sometimes things that people do have nothing to do with you, even though you're feeling the pain of it and it hurts. That decision wasn't made to do that because of anything having to do with you. It wasn't against you. It was for them. Sometimes when we grow, we're not growing because that change. Maybe it's a change that has to happen. Sometimes a change has to happen, and it's not against anyone else. It's for you. It's allowing you to get further down the road.
Yeah, and I think this is, and so be very, very careful and very, very aware, because the conversation we had yesterday, in that conversation, right, the person who's growing past the person, right, the person who's growing away from or growing further than the person that's throwing the darts or throwing the challenges, sometimes we will stop our growth because we feel sorry for the person that is hurt. Or sometimes we will stop our growth. We will stop our pace. We will slow down to allow whoever's throwing darts at us to get closer.
Back. Yep.
Right? So I want to, and this is the part of the pain. Sometimes you just have to recognize what Christy said yesterday, what Medea says all the time. Christy said it yesterday. You've got to discern and recognize the people in your lives, the people in your life that are there for a season. The people that are there for a season and the people that are there for a reason. The people that are there for good and the people that are there for a minute. The people that are there forever and the people that are there just for a minute.
Right.
You've got to be able to discern that and be able to understand and feel the pain of growth.
Right. And appreciate and look for, because I truly believe that every person that comes into our life, there's a reason why there was a connection made. And because if there wasn't a reason for them being there, they wouldn't be there. And I talked about the book a few months ago. Don't give the devil a seat at your table. Okay. And sometimes you can be in the room with people in the same restaurant, but not sitting at the same table. And you get to choose who sits at the table. And sometimes the table changes, and that's okay. And this is not, I don't know. I don't want this to come across as you have to start separating yourself from things. I'm saying you have to discern it. We have to be able to discern and say, as we're growing, maybe other people are growing as well. And I mean, because you're going to have the same thing where people are going to grow, and maybe it's just growing in a different direction. And they grow out, they grow their way out of, just like we outgrow shoes.
Mm-hmm.
We outgrow pants, unfortunately. And sometimes you can then get to another place and you meet back up. Maybe you both went a different direction and you were both growing just in different directions. And then later a little bit down the road, you reconnect. So and you come back together, and maybe that's for another purpose.
Right. So what we don't want to do.
What you don't want to do is you don't want to burn bridges you can't walk back over.
And I was going to say you don't want to grow bitterness, right?
Correct.
And you don't want to allow bitterness to overtake you.
That's right.
You don't want to allow, because sometimes different paces, when people are running at different paces, sometimes the person that's behind gets mad. Sometimes they get upset. Sometimes they say you cheated or you take steroids or you're a whatever, And when in the reality of the situation is maybe your mindset's just better.
Yep.
Maybe you just train better.
Yep.
Maybe you
different.
ate better.
Maybe you train different.
Maybe you ate what you're supposed to eat instead of eating pizza and hot dogs and peanuts at the ball game the night before.
Right.
I mean, all these things are impactful on this process. But I want for you guys, because what happens, especially for S's,
I think for D's too, because I think D's are undercover S's.
you will allow someone else's sadness or hurt or bitterness, and you'll allow, when somebody starts throwing arrows at you, you'll
Right.
become a bigger target for them sometimes. And you'll slow down, because I promise you, if you just keep at your pace, the separation that you will create,
Right.
the arrows will fall short. If you just stay focused, they may get you with one or two,
Yep.
but the arrows are going to fall short, and then you just keep at your pace. And I think what Christy said, and as long as there's not bitterness, as long as bitterness isn't created, and you don't get upset, you can't help what somebody else is going to do, and
Well-
you can't help what somebody else is going to say,
Well-
and you can't help what somebody else is going to feel.
And it's not just the bitterness of the way that someone else feels. Sometimes when you are growing at a pace and they say, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to step off here because I don't want to go at that pace.
Right.
And you think it's something that you've done wrong, and it's not. It's that they're actually totally okay with your growth and you moving forward and going to a place that they just that's not where they feel like they're supposed to be. And sometimes, I mean, we experienced this earlier this year when an agent said, you know, I love y'all. I mean, I love you guys, but it's just, I just feel like I need to be in something I love how you guys are growing. I love everything you're doing. I love the growth you've helped me, but I just feel like I need to get off here because I want to be part of something a little bit smaller. I just don't want to be part of a big, you know, this big, I just want it to be smaller. Honestly, I'm not trying to go out and do a ton of real estate, and I'm just, you know, but I love you guys. And it hurt.
Yeah.
Oh man, did that hurt.
So Lynn said some of us don't like giving a ish. And I think that's an important piece of what I was kind of mentioning is it hurts.
Yeah.
When you're in this process and you're progressing and you're going forward, and the people start to fall away that you were once comfortable with, the people that you thought were in your circle, as those people.
Well, and the people that are doing the same thing that you were doing, right? Same thing. Yeah, exact same thing. Because you were all at the same pace at that point. Sorry, I interrupted you. I should have worn my shirt. I interrupt.
Wow. I can't get a word in edgewise this morning. I know, because she's so fired up about this. I don't remember what I was.
It's talking about the pace and you often
Oh,
what Lynn said.
so-
some of us don't like people not giving a shit.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing
That's the
about when
complacency.
you're in your purpose and you're moving forward and those people start to fall away, it does hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the pain of it, right? It's not that we don't give a shit. It's not that we don't care, because we do. We care deeply. We care immensely. We care with every fiber of our being
Right.
about the people who are in our circles. And it does hurt.
Well, and I think what Lynn's saying here is that when we care and are so passionate, we have a problem with people who are complacent. Like I don't tolerate stupidity well. I say this all the time. And I think, Lynn, say yes or no. Is that what you're meaning by this? Because I think what she's saying is that sometimes people who don't care and are complacent and are perfectly fine with mediocrity are going to find fault with people who are driven and people who are passionate. And they're going to make us feel like we're doing something wrong because they don't want to go at the same pace we do.
Right.
There was a picture that I saw online last night, and it said it was two different, like almost like the like stands at the ballpark, like checkout stands, vendor stands, where there's one super, super long line, and then there's a really, really short line. And one of them is, this is the line for people who desire success. And this is the line for people who desire to do what it takes to be successful. The line for people who desire success and want to be successful is a whole lot longer than the line of the people who are willing to do what it takes to be successful.
So, and there's something. So Eric Thomas, he's a motivational speaker. He's one of the guys that come up on my YouTubes as I'm running in the morning. He always says, everybody wants to be a beast until it comes time to do what beasts do.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep.
Everybody wants to be a badass until it comes time to do what badasses do, right? Everybody wants the fruits of the labor. They just don't want to labor.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. Is you got to be good with, and again, all this is a part of growing pains. All this is a part of growth. Is you got to go through the struggle. You got to go through the turmoil. You got to go through the crap.
Lynn's saying yes, that's what she was saying.
You got to go through the stuff that you don't want to go through. You got to do the homework. You gotta go run extra. You've got to have those conversations. You've got to have your quiet time. You've got to read books. You got to get better. You've got to save. You got to do all these things that really don't, that in the whole scheme of things, I promise you, those things are a lot more painful in the moment than the pain of not doing them.
And I'm going to say this. I mean, we went through some growing pains 6 weeks, 2 months ago of Aaron asked a question. We've talked about it. We've talked about it openly plenty of times. Aaron asked some questions. We didn't necessarily like the answers. And it wasn't necessarily the answers we didn't like as much as it was maybe the medium of the answers, the delivery of the answers, because sometimes vague, like general answers don't give us what we need to be able to grow from that. So we had to truly, and I think that it happened exactly like it was supposed to happen, because sometimes when you get a general answer or a general response or a general clue, you got to dig a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You got to spend time truly chewing on what we've been given,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to discern something from it. And I think we can all learn from that, because in that time period, you go through the anger, you go through the who in the world, I mean, who in the world could even look at this situation and see it as this situation? Like trying to understand and going through the confusion, all these different emotions that you go through to be able to land at a place that says, okay, this is what it is. It's peeling away all the layers that were on top of what was actually being said to us. And it took us a couple of weeks, and it took us a couple of different renditions and communications from various people to say, and for us to be able to come to the conclusion of, there's some meat in that. There's actually some meat in that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like crab legs. You gotta do a whole lot of work to get to the good stuff in crab legs. If it's the claw, that's the part that can, when that crab's alive, that's the part that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that bites. When you're eating it in a restaurant and you're cracking that claw, you got to work harder to get to the meat. But man, that's the good stuff. So sometimes you've got to be able to grow through even things that you feel like are attacks, because
every time,
because if you don't, that's not what leadership is. Leadership is being able, and we say this, y'all, and we've got a hashtag. We've actually got a website that we said we wanted to use Leadership Factory, because we feel like that's what we do at Exit Realty. We truly grow leaders. Well, it just so happens that apparently Leadership Factory is a website that somebody else has, and to buy it was going to be like a gajillion dollars. So I said, you know what, we'll find some other ways to do this. Leadership Nest is what came to mind. So I start looking at different words that basically describe the same thing. And a nest is where a bird builds it for the sake of nurturing the eggs, laying the eggs, nurturing the eggs, doing the things that it takes to even get the eggs here safely and alive. And then when those eggs hatch and they become little birds, little baby birds, and then the mama bird's got to chew up the food and spit it in their mouth. And then she eventually has to push them out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where they come to grow and develop and be nurtured and all these things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to, they might go right next door and build a nest right there. And they might all still live in the same tree. But the nest is for the sake of growth, safe entry into the world, nurturing. And then when they leave the nest, again, how many times do you see birds that they all stay in the same tree? They never leave the tree, but they've been able to go out and get on their own branch. So, and that's because they can stand alone. They can go out and do what they do and then come back. But that growth process and that leadership of understanding what all goes, what is going to be coming along, because if you know that it's raining, okay, and you bring a raincoat and you prepare for it, that same rain is very different for the person that didn't think about the fact that it was going to be raining and didn't come prepared. Part of growth, you're going to have rain. Expecting and understanding what's coming allows you to prepare for the rain, which on the other side of that rain, you take off your raincoat, you're still dry, you're good to go. The same person in the same situation, in the same rain, in the seat next to you while it's raining, didn't prepare. They're sitting there wet the entire rest of the game. So their whole experience is different. And it's not your fault that they didn't bring a raincoat. It's not your fault that they didn't prepare. Sometimes you are affected by their lack of preparation because you have to sit there and listen to them complain about their underwear's wet the entire rest of the game, right? I'm using that as an example because we didn't do that, because there's also other ways. We're solutions oriented. As soon as we saw the rain coming across the field in the lights, guess what we did? We stood up and walked and went to the restroom and stayed under the covered area. And some people sat there in the rain.
So, yeah, we're in Boston, right? The site of the Boston Massacre, the site of the Boston Tea Party. Through the tour yesterday, this just came to me just now. We drove by graveyards full of headstones for people who gave the ultimate sacrifice to build this country, to set the seeds, and to plant the seeds, and to set the building block, the foundational pieces of this country, and this country that we get to love, and it's wonderful, and all the fabulous things that come with living in the United States of America. But John Hancock asked to be buried beside the 5 people who were killed at the Boston Massacre, because he said those 5 people gave their lives they were the first people that gave their lives for this new cause, for this new growth, for this new place, for this land of freedom. And so to have this conversation in Boston, to think about the pain and the agony and the struggle that these people went through to put foundational pieces in place to build the United States of America, for us to be having this conversation with you, to let you know there are going to be things you're going to have to sacrifice. There are going to be people that are going to be sacrificed in this process as you move forward, as you give a shit, as you start to care more about your purpose and your plan and being legendary than you are about being mediocre and average, as you start to care more about doing the things you're supposed to do, the thing that you were put on this planet to go do, and you start to walk in focus, walk in purpose, walk step by step in the direction of your destiny. As you start to do that, and these things start to fall away from you, it's going to hurt.
Right.
There's going to be pain. There are going to be times where you're going to sit and wonder, why in the heck am I getting up at 3:45 in the morning? Why in the heck am I getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go run? Why in the heck am I doing this to myself? Why am I going through this? Why do I have to do this every single day? But all of it's necessary, because everybody wants to be a beast until it comes time to do what beasts got to do.
I'm going to say this, something I learned yesterday, talking about growth and talking about doing things that you are doing. For those of you that are new to our company and you've not read The Infinite Game, okay, it is a Simon Sinek book. It is called The Infinite Game, and it talks about, this book is about playing the game that never ends, because it's just a continuation of you are doing things, that you're putting things in place, that there's going to be benefit, and it's for a cause that's bigger than we are. And that's part of growth. Talk about growing and the obstacles and the pain that comes as part of those opportunities for growth. But yesterday, when we started the tour, this guy holds up this little map of Boston proper, like the proper area of Boston that used to exist is a very, very small, very small area. The majority of what people call Fenway Park is in original Boston, right? Like old Boston.
I think so. Sorry.
It is in the original land that was Boston, but when the settlers got here, and what are they sort of the Puritans? When the Puritans arrived from England, what you see today as land is not what they saw. They spent how many years? He said they were in construction for 40 years building most of what you see and you're driving on in Boston.
It's a giant landfill.
They built the structure, the infrastructure. They built the land. They literally took and built the walls to push the water back in order to expand the land. And they built land on what was once water. He said, if you look to the left right down that road and you see all those tall buildings, when they got here, if you looked that way, you would have seen a beach. That's what it was. It was the ocean. They literally built out into the ocean and expanded the borders. They expanded the useful space, which is what we pushed. Do you think it was easy?
Oh my gosh.
Do you think it was uncomfortable?
Oh my gosh.
Whenever I thought, when he said they were in a perpetual state of construction for 40 years, I said, and their ancestors are the ones that do the construction on I-85, because I-85 has been in a perpetual state of construction since I was born. Okay. So, but it's perpetual progress is more what
always
it is.
Moving forward.
It is
momentum.
Always moving forward, creating something bigger, creating something better. The people who are involved in the planning and the ideas and fought for the ability to do that, to expand what could be here, didn't live to benefit from it. Their kids did, their grandkids, their ancestors. But so the Irish, there's an entire area that is a very affluent area now that anybody can live in. But at the time that it was being built, it was the only people who could occupy it. The Irish were building it. The Irish settlers were building it. But the only people who could occupy it were, he said, the people who, in today's terms, were the leaders and the owners and the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies, the affluent, the big guys, right? Mm-hmm. You had to be one of them to even be allowed to own a property there. You could not live there. You weren't allowed to. There was, talk about segregation. But it wasn't from a racial standpoint. It was from a social status standpoint.
Yeah.
You had to prove. There were hotels you could not stay in unless you provided evidence of you being at a certain financial and social status. You couldn't even book a room there. You couldn't even stay there, huh?
Like that now. If you have enough money to stay at the Ritz, you got to stay at the Super 8.
No, even if you had the money and you got all the money, they would not allow you to stay there. They only allowed a certain caliber of person to even occupy the space. By the way, that hotel now has a Tiffany & Company in the hotel. If that tells you,
it's a condo. No, it is a hotel.
No, that's still a hotel. But the point of today is, my thought is embrace the pains that come with your growth. Because if you're not feeling pain, you're not growing. You're staying in a comfort zone. And the thing that's going to hurt you more a year from now than the pain you're feeling today because of growth is looking back and being in the exact same spot you were a year ago. That's going to hurt worse. Not taking the risk, not doing the thing, you're going to look back and go, man, if I had just been consistent, because it was a pain, because it was inconvenient, because I stayed back, because someone else made me feel like me moving forward and doing what I was doing. It's the Lynn said it a while ago. S's always want to make sure everyone else is okay. D's, and they operate at a slower pace. D's, though, will operate at a faster pace, but sometimes will allow themselves to be held back because somebody made them feel attacked or made them feel like something they were doing was wrong. Because D's are very big on integrity. D's are very big on doing it right? So sometimes if a D doesn't understand their value and understand their worth, and they can't be okay with the growth that they're experiencing, regardless of whether or not someone else is experiencing or not, D's will allow themselves to be held back as well, out of guilt, out of wanting to make sure that it's super clear that what I'm doing is right. But once they know they've done what they can do to make sure it's right, then they have no problem moving forward. Mm-hmm. And then the other people just have to be okay being left behind. That's all there is to it. But if you read the book, Living with a Monster, Natalie Burt wrote the book, and she talks about the people who feel like the driven person is leaving them behind, and they try to create drag on them as a result of them feeling like it's against them, and it's not. It's for the benefit of them and everybody else. But until they can look at it and until they can adjust their lens, to be able to see it for what it is, it's going to create drag on everybody. So I would say that the growing pains that we talk about, be okay growing and be okay with, because sometimes it's painful to let go of some of those relationships that, in order for you to continue doing what you're supposed to be doing to get to where you're supposed to be in life, in business, in whatever. Right. So, and it's funny you say that, because I'm going to touch on that. You got to be okay letting go. And it's not easy. It ain't easy to walk in there and try to put your favorite pair of jeans on and they don't fit you anymore. It's okay. Sometimes it's because they're too big for you. Sometimes it's because they're too tight. In my situation right now, it's because they're too tight. But anyways, you got to be okay with that, because that's getting you to the place you need to be to make the changes you need to make to move forward in life. So I said to him this morning when I walked out, and I said, what are you feeling? What's in your spirit? And he said, growing pains. And I said, oh my gosh, because in a roundabout way, in an indirect, it's all the same. Growing pains is the same underlying theme of what was on my heart. And I looked at him and I said, that is proof that someone needs to hear what we're going to say this morning.
Yeah.
Someone needs to hear this, because if both of us are feeling it. And so Lynn, you've already said, wow, you're helping me this morning. Anna says, this call is kind of like when you're in church and you feel like you're the only person sitting in the sanctuary because that preacher is talking straight to you. Hopefully it's resonating with a lot of people, because I think wherever you're at in your journey, it's going to resonate.
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
So growth is not a bad thing. And the viewpoint that you're sitting in, and the viewpoint of the people that are in your circle, whatever chair they're sitting in, is going to completely change the way and can completely impact the way that growth is viewed. And you got to be okay with that. We all have to be okay with it. We don't always like it. Sometimes we wish they could come over here and sit in this chair and then you can see it from this perspective, but you can't control what chair they sit in. You can't want them to see it more than they want to see it. You can't want things for people more than they want things for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think the last thing I'm sitting here trying to just figure out how I want to say this. All pain is necessary. Mm-hmm. Every pain is necessary. Sometimes the pain is not being able to put your pants on, and that pain is a reminder you need to get in the gym. That pain is a reminder you need to eat differently. That pain is a reminder you need to go buy a bigger pair of pants. Whatever it is, right? If you have a pain that when you walk outside and you start running and your knee hurts, that's a reminder there may be something wrong. Maybe your stride's not right. Maybe the shoes aren't right. Maybe your knee's bad. Maybe you should go back in the weight room and get strengthen yourself a little bit. When people get upset at you and you start to feel the pain of loss or the pain of separation, that sometimes is a reminder to you that you've got to manage your relationships, that you need to, even the ones that fall away from you, to not create bitterness, to not create animosity, because at some point, everything in life is cyclical.
Yep.
Everything in life, you look at nature, it always goes, what comes around goes around. And what your grandmother told you that, because that's true.
Yep.
It always comes back full circle. Everything always does. Okay.
Yep.
And sometimes those relationships that are separated, sometimes those relationships that get pulled away early on in the journey, because you start to grow at a different pace and you feel the pain of that loss, those people sometimes come back in your life.
Right.
Those people come back in your life and they're different, and they saw what you did and you motivated them. Sometimes the pain of discipline, sometimes the pain of separation, these pains are all on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They're all on purpose.
Or you're
supposed to feel them.
Yep.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. And I say that the SEALs say this all the time. Are you hurt or are you injured?
Right. Because
if you're just hurting, stop being a bitch and keep on going.
Right.
Right. If you're injured, then we need to address that.
Right.
Because there's a difference between being hurt and being injured.
Right.
There's a difference in a pain that you just paying more attention to the pain than you are your purpose.
Correct.
There are times when you're paying more attention to your pain than you are your purpose, and you'll stop. and you'll revel in your pain. You'll woe is me in your pain. You'll let the little voice start talking to you and tell you all the reasons why you should quit because it hurts so bad, and all the feel goods that little voice is going to give you, so that you stay right there in that spot. And then what you have is the pain of regret. Then what you have is the pain of not accomplishing your goal. Then you have the pain of all the people that you left behind who needed you to go be the best version of you.
That's right. That's right.
Or you can look at that pain, if it's just hurt, and tell the little voice to shut up because I got things to go do, and you go do those things. And you do those things over and over and over again.
Right.
If you're injured, go get help.
Yep.
If you're injured, find somebody to talk to. If you're injured, go see a doctor. If you're injured, have your accountability partners talk you through this. If you're injured, go let Erica Nasby work through this with you. Do some breathing, do some visualization, do some things. If there's some pain and there's an injury, right, get some help.
Yep.
But more times than not, and what we're talking about, it's just a hurt.
It's a pain.
It's us feeling sorry for ourselves.
It is pushing through the pain.
It's us feeling sorry for ourselves. It's us. It's pushing through the discomfort.
Yep.
And it keep going and keep going and keep going. It's pushing through embarrassment. It's pushing through not being perfect. It's pushing through the progress of learning to do what you got to do. Because none of us, with our purpose, are perfect in the beginning. None of us, when we finally figured out our purpose and knew what we wanted to do, we weren't perfect in the beginning. Hell, we're not perfect now.
Right.
We're working through this every single day.
Yep.
And we have people like Tammy Bunnell and Lori Muller and Steve Morris who give us gifts and give us leadership nuggets and give us love and life and speak life into our purpose, speak life into what we're doing. And we figure out this thing along the way.
Right. Because if you wait till you have it all figured out,
you won't
never
do
get
it.
started.
You'll never
get
do it.
started. Yep.
Perfection is the enemy of progress.
Yep.
Perfection is the enemy of progress.
Yep.
Endure the pain. Sit with it a second. You should. You should. Because I promise you, the glory that comes on the other side of your pain is something you can't see before you go through it.
Right.
The accomplishment that you're gonna recognize, that you're gonna experience on the other side of that pain, you can't understand it on this side of that pain.
Right.
You can't.
And I'm gonna say this before we go. We've all got a little bit of S in us. Okay. And the S is the S personality style is the one that is relational but slower paced. They don't make decisions on a whim. If an S personality, the S in us is, and we've all got some S in us, it's the ability to sit with the decision that you're faced with and know that once you move forward, you're expecting whatever comes your way and you're okay with that. Because you know that was the right decision because you sat with it and you thought about it long enough to know that it was the right direction to go. Even if there's obstacles along the way, the S in us thinks through what those obstacles might be. And you might not know how to address them, but you're prepared that they're going to be there. You're expecting that it may not exactly go the way that I want it to go. It may not go the way someone else wants it to go. But the S in us is very steadfast. Okay. And that's the other one of the words that describes it. We all have to channel our inner S's sometimes in this growth process to be okay with the decision and to understand that sometimes decisions that we are making or decisions that other people are making are because it's for the best for our situation right now or their situation right now. And it's nothing against them or against us. It is for the moving forward and being steadfast in the progress, being steadfast in your journey, and being okay with making tough decisions that you know are not always going to be the easiest decisions or make everyone in your circle happy. The I's and the D's in us are very much more emotional. So when it's upsetting to someone else, we can be emotional and go back and forth very easily. Whereas an S in the S in us, if we can channel our inner S, it'll give us that strength and that steadfastness to move forward, knowing that it's the right decision and that it wasn't made easily. It wasn't something that you just nilly-willy made the decision to do. So I would challenge you guys, if this is really hitting on you today, channel that inner S. Channel it, because I promise you, I have not seen one personality report that didn't have a little bit of S, even if it was mine, that I was a full D, the whole bar was filled up, and I had that much S in me. Channel that little bit of S and understand that sometimes decisions aren't always easy, but down the road you could look back and be glad you did it, and be glad that you were steadfast in that pursuit of where you're going. Because S's are not swayed. Once an S makes up their mind, you're not changing it.
Your purpose is bigger than your pain.
Yep.
Your purpose is bigger than your pain. Stop making your pain bigger than your purpose, because your purpose needs to be bigger than your pain.
Yeah, that's good right there. That's a word. That's a word right there. We love y'all.
Be good.
We're going to be on time today. Look, y'all, I'm almost dressed.
I got to get in the shower.
Yeah. Love y'all. Be good.
Be great.
Be you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.